Hello, all. Welcome to the Model Way, where we inspire, we motivate, and we teach both new and seasoned models, industry standards. My name is Lenny Wheeler. I am your host. Today, we got a great guest, and we're going to be introducing her here really quick. Before we start, guys, I want you to like, subscribe, and follow us on YouTube. Follow us on Spotify. Follow us on iHeartRadio and also Apple Podcasts. We are streaming. We're currently at 10,000 followers there on Spotify, and we look forward to seeing you. Please like and comment to this show.
I know it's been too long to just pick up the phone, but I can't help but feeling so lonely. Yeah. On a Friday night. Yeah.
Okay, guys, I want to welcome you back to the Model Way podcast with your host here, Lenny Wheeler. Today's guest has truly lived the model's journey, from bridal shoots to high-energy runway shows, with a background rooted in creative and fashion-focused modeling. She offers a grounded, behind-the-scene perspective that many only dream of. She spent a key chapter of her career modeling in New York City, signed with couture modeling agency, and also when Crawford was actually new, she signed with Crawford. She didn't know that, but I do remember that. It was a big thing. That time in the Big Apple not only shaped her craft, but it also gave her insights into the realities of this ever-evolving industry. Today, she's here to pull back the curtain and share her experiences, challenges, and what she's learned along the way. I want to please welcome you, Miss Alex, the amazing Strawn. Hello, Miss Alex. How are you today? Thank you for coming.
Hi, Lenny. Thanks for having me. I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I couldn't be any better right now, to be honest with you. But man, I tell you, it's been a long time. I haven't seen you in so long, and I'm so glad that you're here to be able to share your experiences here with our audience and kind of go through things with them a little bit in your journey and things like that. So this is just absolutely amazing. So tell me where you're at right now.
You know, living in Idaho, just keeping busy, doing work and coming home and seeing my boyfriend. It's kind of boring right now, honestly.
That's good. That's good. Man,
Not
girl,
a lot's going on, so.
Oh yeah, I know the weather up there is just absolutely crazy, so it goes up and down, but I'm sure you guys are getting some really good warm weather right now.
Actually, this week it's warmed up quite a bit. Right now, I think it's about 80 degrees, and on Saturday it's supposed to be 90. So I'm pretty excited.
Oh wow. Alex, I kind of wanted to start your journey off because I know I've known you a very long time, and you've been with me forever, and you're probably one of the most seasoned ones that I've had with me as a model. And although you've taken breaks, you've always been there, and it's been so appreciative of you from those days. But tell me, I want to kind of let the audience know what got you started in the modeling business, and how'd that kind of go about?
Yeah, so I think in high school is kind of when I started getting some interest in it, and it was mostly because of the clothes. I just always loved it. Wasn't necessarily like I want my picture taken, but I just loved the high fashion clothes. They were just so interesting, and I loved how artsy you could take photos of them. And I never liked commercial, so I know you know this, but commercial.
Yeah, I do. I know, trust me.
Is not my interest. But in high school, I told my parents, I'm like, I think I kind of want to do this. And Idaho, it's a very small market. I mean, at the time, probably no market. I did sign with a local agency here, I think when I was 14 or so, Urban Talent. It's kind of what got me started. I think, in high school, I was going to school, so I'm like, I don't have time for this. And I didn't get super serious. I think afterwards is when I met you. I can't honestly remember you found me, but
yeah,
meeting you, and that's kind of when I started to take off. So that was kind of why I did it, though. I wasn't like, I want my picture. At the time, Instagram wasn't a thing, and so I wasn't like posting photos on.
It wasn't. I remember that. Yeah, that's definitely.
I was looking through magazines and cutting out clips that photos I thought were cool, and I remember doing some exercises like that too, actually. They made us cut out magazine photos of what we thought looked interesting and kind of studied them. And so I feel like people probably don't do that often now. So
No,
I
it's
enjoyed
different
it.
now.
It was fun.
Yeah, I mean, with the internet, the way we got the internet right now, we got Pinterest and Instagram, and everybody's out there just pasting and pulling and just saving favorites and things like that. So that's how a lot of that goes along. But I remember like meeting you, and I don't remember exactly how we met. I think we met through a mutual friend or something, and then all of a sudden, you know, me and you were hooking up. I remember meeting at. You remember meeting at Starbucks when we met at Starbucks?
Yeah, I do. I vaguely remember that, and yeah, that's so funny. I think maybe you found me, I don't know, maybe through a photographer or something.
Yeah,
That
maybe
was
Alexa
that
or
was like
something like that.
12 years ago.
Oh my
brain
God.
doesn't go up
I
by
feel like,
that.
and I got all this gray hair now, so it's like, oh God, man, I can't remember all this. This is freaking crazy though, but that's
But
freaking amazing. You know, I think that, you know, when we
yeah,
did that, I think
you're the one that got me started.
oh, well, thank you. I know. And we kind of grew together in the business a little bit. And since you were kind of one of my first models per se, we kind of evolved together, and I got to do
Yeah.
some experimental stuff, you know, as
Oh,
far as like modeling and
okay.
placement.
Yeah.
And so that was a lot of fun and stuff but it was really cool to see that you really got a chance to go to Expo, and we went to Expo. Kind of tell us your journey, what happened when you went to Expo, and I'll kind of put my little 2 cents in there too.
Yeah, so, we went the very first year, and I feel like I prepped a lot for that. We did a lot of shoots together and practice walking and, just normal stuff, runway walking. From what I can remember, I really loved the experience, but yeah, the first year, I thought for sure you show your skills, you walk on the runway, you show your headshots, and at the end, the agencies get to look at you and they go, oh, we're interested in this person. And from what I can remember, and I'm sure you remember this,
Oh yeah.
0 callbacks.
Oh yeah.
Very disheartening. I took it for what it was and a learning lesson, and I went, okay, well, we need to work on this, and this, and I got quite a few callbacks and some pretty good ones. So I really liked the experience. If I had to do it again, I definitely would, and I would recommend that most females, males, whoever, if you're interested in modeling, like it's a good starting point. So
it really is. And you know what? One thing you said that you hit a huge point there, Alex. You said you went there the first time and you're in front of 300. I mean, there's 300 contestants, and then you get in front of like 60, 70, 80 agents out there, and you get as pretty as you were back then and as thin as you were, and you're still thin and tall. You got 0 callbacks, man. I was like, I was probably more hurt than you were. I really was, and it really hurt because you and I worked hard.
I remember you being so mad about it. And you're just like, I can't believe you didn't get any callbacks. And I'm just like, okay, that hurts, but I'm gonna take it for what it is and try again. Because that's the hard thing with modeling. You have to have the right look at the right time, and then the right person has to find you.
That's
Sometimes that just doesn't happen. So.
Well, if I remember correctly, Alex, I remember we were there. And then I said, you know what, we're going to go back there and kick some ass again, right? Because this is bullshit. I was like, this is bullshit, man. So we go back next year, and this girl rocks it out with the body's more slamming, everything slamming. I think sometimes people don't understand. Sometimes it's got to be the season. And so they may not have wanted redheads back then, but for whatever reasons, we went back and you had like opposite of what we got. 0 went from like 17 callbacks. And I'm like, God. And yes. So what was it like getting a callback from Giorgio at Major when he was at Major Models? You remember that?
Yeah, no, that honestly, it kind of, I was so excited. It almost, how I am. I'm not really good at showing
emotions.
On the inside, I'm really excited. So on the inside, I was like, oh, I can't believe that just happened. And, that was honestly just getting the callback alone from someone that big. Even if nothing ever came of it, it just means they saw me. They thought I had a good look, and that was exciting. It definitely was encouraging.
Well, I remember being there, and you guys didn't see me talking to the agents, but I was over there practically harassing Georgia. Georgia, you got to take her. She's awesome. She was like, okay. And for whatever reasons, we didn't get it. We didn't go because something happened, but we ended up finishing the expo out. And I think you walked the fashion show the second time with Daniel Jackson. He's a great manager out in LA. And what was your experience like that with that expo and you walk in that runway like that? How did that make you feel?
Yeah, so the runway show at the end, that was great just because you're basically hand-picked all the contestants, and so that means you did good, obviously, and you kind of stood out. So that was really nice. And then the runway show was fun. I love the
No.
outfits. It's just, I don't know, something about runway. It's weird because it's so exciting and thrilling, and I don't know, you just get this burst of energy and you almost don't even feel like yourself. It's probably almost like acting, you go on stage and you're like, I don't even have to be me. I could be someone else right now.
Right. That's yes,
Weird.
definitely.
I think the first time I did it, I blacked out. Like I couldn't remember what happened. Like afterwards, I was like, well, hopefully I did good because I don't know what just happened. So, yeah, no.
That's funny. No, you're absolutely right because it's just crazy how things do that, and it's like you never know what you're gonna get, and it's like I tell everybody, like when you're moving and you're going to different places, you never know. Like going to a casting call, it's like the same thing. And it gives you that experience like that when you're in the real working world of modeling, and it's just crazy. Hey guys, we're gonna take a quick short break. No, we're not even a break, but we're gonna be right back because I want you guys to like and subscribe before we do anything and enjoy this. Please comment your experiences, anything with Expo, any kind of showcases, any kind of rejections you've experienced. Please like and subscribe to the channel today. Okay, so Alex, I really wanted to talk about your journey to New York City because that was a huge thing for you because you were really ready to go and you were very ambitious and you were excited about doing stuff. How did we end up getting you to New York City?
I think you just, I was working with you, and I think you came across this model management company based in New York, I believe. TCM.
Right.
Yeah. And honestly, I don't know how you found them. I don't know if you ever told me, but
That's what I do.
I know. As soon as you said New York, I was like, "Yep, we're going." So, I think it happened pretty fast. I think we talked to them and we kind of had interviews, and they were interested, and so finally they made a decision and said, "We like you to come." So, I think I was working at the time, and I just, I told them, I said, "I'm sorry, but I have to quit because this is my dream." And timing is everything. So if I said, let's just skip right now, maybe something will come up in the future. Who knows? I don't know if that would have happened. So
I'll tell you this though.
I did it.
I'll tell you this. I found them. I can't remember how I found them. I was searching for modeling agencies up in New York because I was working really hard trying to place you guys and get you guys going, but it was perfect. It fit perfect. And, although it was kind of stressful at that moment, but I think you guys really appreciated it now looking back because some of you got really developed really nice because just for you guys to understand, TCM at this point was a model management company. And what they would do is they would actually go up there and they would train the models in certain things, whether it's runway, whether it's helping to get their books ready. And in exchange, they would get portfolio, and they would also have to do what's called promotional modeling. And that was probably the big thing, but they got the whole mix of everything going, and they learned from learning how to cast, like go to casting calls, look for their own work as an independent model, and then also go to these, I guess, promotional modeling gigs, were clubs and things like that. And it was just really a neat, but kind of tell us what happened when you arrived. If you remember correctly, I don't know if you can remember exactly what happened. What happened when you flew in? And I was excited because I was jumping on pins and needles, just trying to make sure you guys were okay and making sure you were fine.
Yeah.
I wasn't getting no calls back. Go ahead.
Yeah, you were definitely very protective. So, which is good. You want someone, watching your back. So I do remember flying there in the wintertime, and, we arrived and it was freaking cold. Like I thought Idaho was cold, but no. And then I think, so I went with another model that you were helping. So luckily I didn't have to fly alone and go by myself. I mean, I would have done it, but it was nice to have someone that I kind of knew arriving there. And so you show up, mind you, I've never been to a big city, let alone a big city by myself. And so we get there, it was a learning experience, that's for sure. But we showed up at this house with all these girls, a model house. So that was interesting. And me, I'm more reserved and shy. So, I definitely had to learn how to be comfortable with strangers fairly quickly. So, and we shared rooms, but we met with the girls, and then the model management company, they came in, I believe, the next day or the next morning.
Yeah.
And introduced themselves and kind of just said, here's what's going on, this is the plan. They were pretty organized. They sent out emails saying, this is what we're doing for the week, here's who's working on this job. And it was definitely, we had to be independent, but they did help. Getting used to the promotional model work was hard.
Yeah.
Because you're always going, you're always on the go. And so if you come from a life where you just kind of meandered around and were lazy, it was not for someone who likes to sit on their butt, that's for sure. But it was fun. When you look back, like you said, maybe in the moment, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is kind of stressful. But when you look back, I would do that 100 times over again if I had to. Because not a lot of people get to do that. It's free housing as long as you did the work and you went along with the program and the development. They set up photo shoots with pretty great photographers. So we got to do that for free. A lot of models have to pay for that themselves.
Yeah, that was incredible.
I was going to tell. Good experience.
I was going to ask you too, Alex. I mean, things don't go like, things don't always like, they may tell, like people will tell you, okay, you're going to do this, you're going to do that, but it always doesn't go the way they tell you all the time. And how do you adapt to something like that?
I always say, as a model, you're not there. It's not about you. I mean, it is about you, but it's about showing off the makeup, showing off the clothes. Like, you kind of just have to be really flexible. You just have to show up on time, and maybe they say you're going to leave in 4 hours, but maybe you don't leave for 10 hours. You don't know, because it just depends on how the shoot goes. But if you love the job, you're going to do it. So easygoing, so it worked for me.
You are very easygoing. That's really crazy, because like when you get to it, I don't think as a manager, I always coach people on what it's like from model housing, because it is very similar to what you see like on America's Next Top Model. It's very, very similar to that. And people, like, when they see that, I just dream of being in a house with a bunch of girls, right? And then when you get there, what's the shocking reality when you moved into this modeling house with all these females that you didn't even know?
I would rather almost live with a house full of boys, to be honest, but it's like living in a college dorm, I feel like. Now we're all sharing. I think we shared 2 bathrooms, 8 girls living in one house, 2 bathrooms. We shared bedrooms. I slept on a bunk bed, which, like I said, I'm willing to do a lot for for something I have a passion for, but there are lots of girls who just thrive off of drama, and I lived with about 7 of them. And at the time, I think I was one of the older ones. I think we had me go when I was 20, 21, if I can remember correctly. And so a lot of them were 18,
19, 18.
And I know it doesn't seem like a big difference in age, but it really does make a difference.
Yeah, it really does. It really does. Like, maturity is everything.
Yeah, I took over the mom role of the house for sure. I think everyone came to me, Alex, can you help with this? Alex, can you clean? And I'm OCD, so I can't stand a mess. And so, I'm always cleaning, and people are like,
I know.
And so,
yes. Yes.
Yeah, it was fun. It's good to meet new people, and I don't know, put yourself in that situation where you might feel uncomfortable, because that's how you grow. So
you guys
would benefit from doing that.
I think every model that's wanting to travel or do something needs to experience that model house life. But you said you guys had like 2 rooms. I think, if I remember correctly, didn't you guys like have 2 rooms, and then like each room had 4 bunks in it? Is that correct?
Yeah.
What was that? What was that like? Golly.
That was rough. When I first flew into New York and I got there, we were in a house. I think the house was 3 stories, so it was a little bit bigger, but I don't know why they ended up moving, but maybe just a newer place. We ended up it was actually a really nice apartment for where we're at. But yeah, two bedrooms for still eight girls, I think, and then one bathroom. So we did sleep in bunk beds. Luckily, I think at the time I became close to a couple of the girls, so I kind of just stuck around them and made my life a little bit easier. But
Yeah.
I think too, you're not there a lot anyway, and so
Mm-hmm.
I mean, unless you're sick or you just absolutely have nothing to do that day. But I mean, you're in New York, you can just go out and walk. It doesn't matter if you had no plans, you just go out and walk around. I think that's what we did. So I don't know.
Right.
It was fun.
What was your biggest culture shock through all that? Like through the whole being in New York, the model housing, the whole management experience, the promotional modeling, and I'm going to talk about that too as well.
Again, being from Idaho, it's it's urban, not urban, but like suburban and farmland and stuff like that. So people here, just like the personality difference. I think right before I went to New York, and I'm sure other people have heard this too, but everyone's like, oh, everyone's so mean there. Like, you gotta be careful because people will just, push you to the side. They don't care about you. And it was interesting because that's what I expected, I guess, because everyone said that. And when I got there, you know what? People are actually really nice.
They are.
I think people mistake the fact that people mean business means mean people, but really they just, they're busy. It's a busy city, so they got to get where they're going. They don't have time to small talk, and that's fine because I don't really like small talk. So it actually fit my personality better than where I live currently.
Yeah,
so
it does.
I actually loved it, and I was like, these are my people.
Yeah, you were all about it. I think
let's get where we're going. Who cares about?
Yes,
it was great. I loved it.
And you got, I think you would have been up there today had you not got sick and all that stuff. Through all that, you'd probably still be in New York City, but you got sick and then you had to go home, and it just kind of put us like back completely. And I was like, oh God, and I got to get stable again. Then everything's ruined. Like, you don't have a job and you lost your homes, and you didn't lose a house, but I mean, it was like crazy. It was just bad.
I still think about New York City all the time, and I'm like, man, I get people ask me sometimes still, they're like, did you like living there? And when I say I really did, they're so surprised. Really? Why? Like, they're like, why would you want to be around that many people? And you're around a lot of people, but you're not necessarily like talking with all these people or having to interact all the time. Here, if you're around a lot of people, you're having to be like, oh, hey, how are you? How's it going? Oh, the weather's nice today, and it's exhausting. So I would say I meant to live in a big city.
I think you were too. You're going to be back. I'll be back. I want to get you there. I'd love to put you back in New York City. I think you do really well there as a seasoned model now.
It's so weird because I think, and I've been back there to visit a couple times, and it just makes you feel so alive because the city's alive. There's people doing all sorts of stuff, and they say it's a city that never sleeps, and truly, it is a city that never sleeps. Like, I swear, there's people out all night long and going into the next morning at 5 a.m. There would be some nights we wouldn't even get home till 4 a.m.
I know. What was that like? I mean, tell us what you did. Like, what we're telling we didn't get home till 4. So that part of the promotional modeling, what you're talking about. So what was that like? I mean, y'all have an all day thing, just doing modeling stuff and trying to figure stuff out, and then you have to. We got to get on the cars and go to the promotional modeling. What was that all about?
I think at first all the girls were probably excited because you go to, basically what it is for the most part, you go to these fancy clubs because when the clubs will hire attractive people because it draws more people in, probably more specifically males.
Yeah.
So you get paid to do that, but
of course,
I'm not a huge night owl, so it was a little rough for me. And I'm not much into clubbing either. So I think we would leave at like midnight. And I'm like, midnight? This is my bedtime. But we would stay out till, the clubs basically were empty. 3 a.m., 4 a.m. I'm not going to lie, honey. There were some nights where I'm like, I'm I'm just gonna go in the corner and sleep over here because I'm not gonna make
Yeah.
it. But I
You
think
just,
we were, I think, it was pretty, they didn't, they were pretty good. It's not like they just were like, here, go in this club and hang out. We had to go to a very specific area, and that's where we had to stay. Someone would escort us to the bathroom if we had to go to the bathroom. So it's not like we were partying. It was a
yeah,
job, and you
exactly.
had
You
to
were just eye
we were
candy.
having fun for 5 hours. Yeah, pretty much. I remember
Yeah.
one. I remember one time. I was so tired because, like you said, you are working all day, and sometimes, well, at the time, you would do the promotional line, get home at 4 a.m., and then you would have to leave for a job at 6 a.m. So you get like 2 hours of sleep. And
God.
so if you keep doing that constantly, you're going to be exhausted. So there were a few times where I think they would like nudge me, Alex, look more alive. I'm like,
Oh,
I'm
wow.
dead on the inside.
Just dead on the
But
inside.
yeah,
Did you
but
get to see any cool celebrities, Alex? Did you see any celebrities at these places?
actually, yes, we saw The Weeknd at the time when he was dating.
Uh-huh.
We saw them, because the celebrities get their own little spot in the club. And
Yeah.
that I think we saw him, and I think there may have been Leonardo DiCaprio. DiCaprio, I
Wow.
can't say his last name. Leo.
No
think we
Diddy
saw-
though, right?
No,
No Diddy.
not,
Okay.
not that I'm aware of.
No, right, I got
But
you.
I hope not. But yeah, I don't. It's funny because you think you would see more for going out that often. So they're kind of hidden. They don't really display them out in the open.
Yeah, they're just in the corner somewhere, just having drinks with their friends and entourage and stuff like that. That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
So I tell people a lot of times, Alex, of the dangers sometimes of New York City, and I like being raw with it because this show's about just telling truth about stuff. And did you ever run into like any of those the promoters on the streets, right? Like we know what they do, right? Like they pass the flyers out. You know what I'm talking about? Did you run into those people on the streets that are sitting in front of the clubs and the dudes?
I'm not joking. Like the people we went with that took us to the clubs, they were like our bodyguards.
Y'all had bodyguards, yes.
Yeah, they did not really let us talk to other people, and they didn't let, especially males, they wouldn't let them come up and talk to us unless we wandered off by ourselves, which I don't see why that would have happened. But I actually never had someone come up to me and ask that.
Oh, okay. Well, it seems like that happens a lot, and you hear about it all the time. And I thought maybe y'all had seen some of that going on, and I just try to do that because I'm very protective. If like models call me and they're in distress, I'm gonna panic, like go into dad mode, and I'm be like, I need to get them out of there now, and I call people and stir up all kinds of stuff in there. And I've had it happen several times, especially with people going overseas and all this stuff. So it's just absolutely crazy. So guys, please like and subscribe to the channel here on Spotify, also here on YouTube. We want to hear your comments, your concerns, your likes, your dislikes, whatever. No, we don't hear no dislikes. We want to hear nothing but positive. But let's give you all the credit on this, guys. But I want to put some questions down there which you guys might have, or some of the experiences you have, especially some of you seasoned models, as what your life was like in New York City, and kind of let's talk about that. But anyways, Alex, we went to we got there and we started doing that, but you got through all that stuff, and towards the end, it was like a 3-month program, like a 90-day program, if I remember correctly. Was it, or 6 months? Was it 9? It was 90 days.
I think it was 3 months to start with, and then I think they kind of got a feel for what girls' business, basically. Like they were there to work, not just to goof off, because they give you time to do your own stuff. And I think I remember some girls just kind of going out and hanging out with guys they met, so some of them got kicked out a little early. But
yeah,
and I think at the end of the 3-month period, they said they were going to select 6 or 8, I can't remember the exact amount, but they were going to select the models that they wanted to kind of continue working with and have them stay in the model housing. So they prolonged it, I think, another 3 months or so. And
wow.
I think, actually, I know for sure that they asked me to, but I ended up moving out. And so, I do slightly regret that. But
oh, that's cool. Yeah, because at the time you're like, Yeah, because you get there and it's like time. Okay, I don't want to stay with all these girls anymore. I'm sick of all the drama, having to pick up after people and not cleaning their messes up and washing the clothes and
Yeah.
washing somebody else's underwear with mine. It's just not fun, right? Like, so it's just one of the, I don't know if that happened or not, but it sounds like it probably could have easily,
Well,
right? But
what happened most of the time, we all had our own food, and so that was rough because people would be eating other people's food, and I went. I remember I had bought peanut butter. I know this is crazy, but when you live with 8 girls, you do crazy things. But I swear to God, someone was eating my peanut butter, and so I started marking it with a marker on the jar to see where it was last at from when I ate it. And then if it was lower, I'm like, someone ate my peanut butter. You
wow,
know, you start getting really petty about really small things because,
right.
I mean, living in New York is expensive, and there were things like that happening, and I had the chance to move out, and I took it because that was in the back of my head, like, oh my gosh, I get a break from this. So
Right, right. Let me ask you this, Alex. Like, so when you were up there, you guys apparently they were supposed to, the whole agreement was okay. They're paying for the food, they're putting food in the refrigerator, but that didn't. They were putting like minimal stuff in there, right? And how did that affect you guys? I think you said somebody was eating your peanut butter, but like at the same time, I mean, they put food in there, but it wasn't enough. Like you guys were hungry and I don't know if you were starving yourself. And I was always worried because I didn't. That's me. I'm always big on like making sure you're taking care of yourself.
So they did provide food, but for that many girls, maybe they assume models shouldn't eat that much. You have to eat to live and to stay healthy. So there definitely wasn't a lot of food because by the time this is from what I remember correctly, there would be food. They would bring it in weekly, I believe, and we designated basically 2 or 3 of the girls to kind of go through and portion everything out for the 8 of us. And by the time you got your, like if there was chicken, you'd get like this much chicken. And so, or with whatever else, yeah, it wasn't a lot. And, I think going back, that's probably one of the things I would have changed because I think just because you're modeling and you need your inches to be on point or, you need to stay toned, you actually have to eat for your body to function. And so I think over time, if you don't eat, your body gets stressed out and then it goes in freak out mode. You won't lose any weight and you won't stay up the inches and be toned because your body isn't even working anymore at that point. So it only will last for so long. And 3 months is probably about as long as it will last and then things happen. But,
And here, I think about this all the time because of like, just like people having to eat correctly and do all this stuff. And health is huge for me because it can affect you mentally. And I'm huge on mental health and awareness and things like that. But like when you're up there, I mean, you can like back then, if you look back 12, 15 years ago when we first started in the business, like, it's like, oh my God, man, it was a lot harder back then than now. Like you guys, they put a lot of stress on you guys with inches and you guys really worked hard at it, but you guys ate, you like really ate good. Like you were eating very healthy, but I think it was stress time because we were trying to get placed and all this stuff. And some of the agencies had really high requirements for like inches. Like you had to be a 34, like no question on the hips, right? Like, and everybody knows that you measure from the rump, the biggest part of your ass, all the way across the hoo-ha there, right? Like, and it's hard. Like, and I remember because you're like, I want to be skinny, but Alex, you got a little rump, right? Like, I can't get you any thinner than this. It's like, this is it. You're 35 and a half. That's it. It doesn't go away. But now it's perfect. Like, if you would have had that today, you'd have been all over the place,
If I was 20 today, I think I would go a lot further with the modeling career. Well, like you said, like no offense to people doing it now, but it is a lot easier and you just you basically use your Instagram as your portfolio, which is, I remember when we first started modeling in New York at the time, I believe I had an Instagram, but I think I posted like 2 pictures and it was from high school. And I remember going to an agency and they said to us, okay, we want all of our models to start having Instagrams because this is how we're gonna start.
Yeah.
This is how we're gonna show you off. And so I worked really hard on that stupid Instagram. I'm not a social media person.
Yeah. You guys were kind of like the breakthrough on the social media, like in that frame. Like you started Instagram, like you guys were the ones that really. And I was like, "What's Instagram? We don't want to do this. We need a hardcore portfolio book." And that was going out, you know. And you guys kind of started that.
Yeah, no, we did actually, but I remember I gave them my login, I think, to my Instagram, and I said, please take these photos and post them. I don't know, I'm not good at doing the captions. I don't know anything about the hashtags. And I actually got quite a few followers for at the time. Now it's like you have to have what, 1 million, but I think I got up to 10,000, which that's a pretty good amount. So, you know, once I stopped living with them, it kind of, I'm like, please help me because I'm not good at it. If I could just hire a manager to do my Instagram, it'd be easier. But I think this, like you said, the standards, they're way more lenient with the inches. I remember being at the model house and they measured us weekly, which your body fluctuates a lot. And if you're stressed, even in the slightest, it could throw off anything. And so I think in the beginning, if they started off like, here's food, but here's some guidelines on how to be healthy and not necessarily stress about what you're eating, because, you know, that's terrible for your mental state. And over time, you don't realize it until 6 months later down the road. And then you're like, why? I can't seem to lose these inches. I just can't figure it out. It's because you're just stressing yourself out, counting calories. So I think if they would have just focused a little more on that, it probably would have made things a little bit easier for the few of us that had bigger butts. Myself.
Yeah. But no, that's I get that totally. No, it's all good. So really, I mean, yeah, I love the mental state of this because I love that we're talking about that because that's super important to me and for other people to know that it's a little bit easier now and they're not so strenuous on it. They still are. I mean, the categories with either commercial or, you know, high fashion and all that stuff, there's different categories still to this day. It's the same. And you always had a commercial look, but you've always liked the high fashion, and that was the big thing. But the cool thing is when we got through all that, after you learned all the runway stuff and you've already were doing it, you started building, you took some really cool shoots, and I'm going to put some of them on the deal and shoot it over. But I mean, you had some really good shoots, but you got signed with, I remember Crawford because that's when they're big now, Crawford. But I remember back then they were fairly new, if I remember correctly, but you did sign with them. What was it like getting an actual contract?
At the time, at least, that was the whole goal, you know, for models. It's like, that's kind of like the sign you made it, right? I mean, just because you get signed doesn't necessarily mean you get a bunch of jobs, but it does make it easy. I was striving for it. I didn't necessarily want to just be a freelance model. I think that's kind of the more popular way to go nowadays, but yeah, I worked my butt off to get signed. I wanted to get signed by at least one person. So maybe I didn't get signed by major models or whatever, but to say that I did get signed I still think that's a big achievement. So I'm happy with it. It's an
amazing achievement because you made it and you did that. But I don't remember. Did you do any work with Crawford when you were there?
I don't. See, that's where I get my timelines a little bit mixed up, or who was who, because I remember doing some work for the other agency and getting called in and having to update photos for them often. I think I did a few, you know, I did a lot of bridal stuff. I like
you were good. You're good at bridal. That's what you're meant. That you're commercial bridal, you know, that's what they like you for.
I know, like, I never really saw myself going that route, but I love wedding dresses so much. If I could just wear a wedding dress every day, I would.
You still can.
Like, I love the wedding shoots and bridal shoots, but I definitely do fall more towards the edgier looking stuff when it comes to bridal. I don't want to just be like, oh, here's a bouquet of flowers, I'm gonna smile, you know.
Yeah, more like gothic and stuff like that.
Yeah, still creative, but you know, I remember doing a bridal runway show, and I think it was for Fashion Week in New York, and It was actually, this experience stands out still to me because I remember going on the casting call and I met with the designer at her shop. And it was funny because she was like, "Have I met you before?" I'm like, "Nope. I just moved here. I'm from Idaho. I don't see why you would know me at all." And then she's like, "Oh, maybe you just have like a familiar face." And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." I ended up working with her, and I remember a couple of days after I met her, she texted me and she said, she sent me a photo and she said, "I knew this was you because she actually saw a picture of me in a magazine that I didn't
Wow.
even know I was in, and it was for a bridal shoot." And I was like, "Oh, funny."
This was from New York?
Yeah, and yeah, it was when I was in New York, and she said she recognized me, and I'm like, "I really don't know why you would recognize me." But it's just funny to show that you do some work too, and you never even know what happens of it, I guess. I had no
Yeah.
idea it was in a magazine. That would have been nice to know.
I hear that all the
But
time. I hear that all the time, Alex. Like we'll send models out, and all of a sudden they do a shoot, and then next thing you know, it's on a billboard or one of those walking like the sidewalk billboards. It's so cool, like to see that and see your face on a sign or
yeah,
something
it's
like
like,
that.
oh. Yeah, no, it's definitely, I don't know, unexpected because I think when you get signed for a job too, I mean, maybe not always, but they don't always tell you what they're going to utilize those photos for. Sometimes they do, but I feel like a lot of the times I've done stuff and I have no idea what they're doing with it. They, "Here's your money, you did your job, okay, bye." Sign the model release
Mhm.
form and then you're good to go. So,
That's it. And you got paid, and here it is. That's that'd be funny if something popped up today, 12 years later, on some like that's Alex. I've been modeling
that's
12
me.
years. Yeah, it's so cool,
I
right?
know. So that actually made me feel so good when that happened. I was like, "Oh, I was recognized."
Exactly. Let me ask you this. So I talk about building brands and building your brand. How do you find it hard to try to build that brand when you were in New York City of yourself?
Well, like I said, with the Instagram thing, that was new. So, how to get used to that because that's like building your brand, right? And so,
Right.
I also think you kind of have to learn to, you got to figure out who you are too, because it does show. I know it sounds stupid, but it does show in your photos. And not everything's going to work. And I noticed I get hired for a lot of the same types of jobs because I have a certain look. And so, the times I've tried to do a different look per se, like more edgy, I just don't have the edgier look. So I mean, it's nice to have variety and be able to do multiple things, but
Yeah.
I think when you sell yourself, sometimes it's like, this person does really good at this, like let's hire him for, like what if you were really good at hand modeling? It's kind of like you
Yeah.
find your little niche and you stick with it. And same with
love it.
Instagram because it's your portfolio, but it kind of, I mean, especially nowadays, you like it to flow. You don't want just like weird random stuff in there.
Yeah, it's all got to flow together, so it just
And
builds your identity.
have your personality. Yeah, it builds your brand, your identity, and you just kind of want to kind of find yourself to the point where you feel confident being yourself and not trying to always be, "Oh, well, this girl, I want to be more like this girl." So you're constantly kind of striving towards how other people act or how you perceive them, which never works out. So
God,
you might as well.
thank you for saying that, because that's like repeating everything that I say to the T. Like it's like coinciding
Yeah.
and everything with that and stuff like that. And it's just crazy how it just comes all to that point. Like you look at that like, oh God, man, I understand what it's all about now. Like 12 years ago, you were still a kid, and it was like, holy cow, man, now she finally gets it, guys. No, just kidding. She's always got it.
Yeah. I think modeling too, because they do get models so young, and I understand why, because I mean, for the standards of inches and whatnot, your body's more likely to be the smaller sizes when you're teenage years and 20s, because as a woman, your body starts going through changes. But when you're that young, you kind of just are like, I'm excited, I want to do all of this. And you kind of get so wrapped up into everything, and you kind of forget, kind of who you were or who you said you were going to be, because you're striving to be all these other things. And you kind of lose yourself a little bit. And I always told myself, I was like, I'm going to keep my standards. I'm not, I have morals. I'm not going to just fall off the wagon just because I want to be a model and will do everything or anything to be one, but you know, you do have to remind yourself often. So, because you start seeing the path you're going down, and not necessarily, I mean, a bad path, mental wise, you can start going downhill pretty fast. But, you know, we live in a world where people compare each other all the time. If you do that too much, it's just not good for you. And I don't know, everyone, I think, brings their own uniqueness, and you just have to remind yourself that. Because if you're just constantly going to compare, well, look at this girl, and then look at me, and you're never going to be good enough. I don't know. Nowadays with Instagram, who knows if any of that is real? Like, people use filters and constantly editing the crap out of their photos. So we all take part in doing that at times, but to be aware that you're doing it and stopping it is probably where you have more of the maturity. Like, younger girls kind of just, you don't even notice it's happening until it's too late.
Right. Saying all that, Alex, what do you think you would have done different looking back to that time, through all that, when you were hot into this business? Looking back now, what do you think you could have done different? And tell the audience what you would have done different, and they can think through what they did different. So that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah. No, there's one thing, and I know I mentioned this to you before, that I would have definitely done different, is not entertaining the idea of having a boyfriend, because, or at least a serious one, because at the time I did. And I just think when you're that young and you're going after something like that, it's a restriction. And it probably always will be, because, you know, like, if you have a boyfriend, you're young, you're going to find someone else. I mean, I did, but I think at the time I should have just I know a lot of people said, dump your boyfriend when you moved to New York. Should have done it. Wish I did, but you know, you live and you learn. But I also wish, another big thing, because we did talk about stress, if I could have found a way to manage stress better, I would have done that. At least I've always been one that kind of internalizes everything anyway. And so I feel like my body feels stress a lot. Like, I don't get it out. And so I'm just like always tense if I'm really stressed. And, you know, everything just starts going to crap. But if I could have, I don't know, even gone to therapy just to deal with, because I think that's helpful for everyone. Everyone should do that at some point.
That's good.
No one's perfect.
That's a very good piece of advice, because I think people don't balance their emotions or know how to handle their emotions, or they get in their feelings and get in their head, like comparing, and she's doing this, he's not, you know, they're not doing enough for me, but they're doing more for this person. I mean, come on now, cut this shit, you know,
and
get it together.
There is a lot of rejection, unfortunately, but that's just what comes with the job, and you do have to learn to navigate that, because it's not necessarily a rejection on who you are personally, but you just don't work for them at the time. And so it is hard if you keep getting told no, or your butt's too big, or, you know, your nose is too big, or something like that. But I don't know, that's why you have to be more accepting of yourself, and, like we said, dealing with your emotions, figuring out how to work through that. And if you can't, might not be a good business for you to be in.
That's good. You know, they say that only, you know, 80% of models end up quitting in their first year, within the first 6 months even, you know, so you don't, there's not a continue. And I've seen it, like I've seen trends, you know, where it's not enough, or you're not doing, I'm not, you know, the managers aren't doing enough, or it's, you know, whatever the case might be, that happens. And it's just an insecurity thing, but you have to learn how to fight through your emotions and learn how to control them, and think, well, no, this isn't really happening to me. It is, but it's not, it's temporary. Is it even going to matter tomorrow? You know, that's the mindset you got to have, right?
To just let it go, let it just stop, try again, and just keep going.
Exactly. Let me ask you some final points, Miss Alex. What's the last piece of advice, or any kind of piece of advice that you could give some other young, aspiring, you know, model heads out there?
It's great to find a mentor. And luckily I had you, because if I didn't have you, I don't know what I would have done. But, you know, even we've been together, so we've been through a lot. So I am glad I have you. But I think a lot of girls, they see it online, like, I want to get started. And I think if you don't have someone kind of guiding you, you could fall down the
That's
wrong
good.
path and go the wrong way and get yourself into a mess. And so I think just having people that support you, but also will tell you what's up when they need to, I think just finding those people, because it is a hard business and the rejection does get to you. And I just think for young girls, you're so vulnerable and you will do anything. If this is what you really love and this is what you want to do, you will do almost anything to make it happen, which sometimes almost anything isn't good. So it's nice to have people around you who will tell you that when needed and kind of bring you back to reality a little bit and set some boundaries, because we all need boundaries. Gotta have boundaries.
Definitely,
it's good
definitely.
to have them. So I think, just having the right state of mind and remembering that the industry is hard and you have to constantly work on yourself and you're going to grow and it's challenging, and just having those people who love you. So
that's good. That's good advice. That's probably the best piece of advice I've had all year. Or I thank you. I will follow that advice.
Yeah,
I'll stop getting in my emotions.
Goes for everything.
Yes.
Yeah,
exactly.
Definitely. I feel like I'm such an old person sometimes, but
no.
I probably would have said that when I was 20. Even though
you said that, you always said that, even when you were when I met you when you were 21, you were like, I'm old. I can't. I said, stop. I want to just stop.
I know, I'm old. Yeah,
I know, right?
I don't always take my own advice, which is a normal thing, but I try. But if someone asks me for advice, I feel like I have pretty great advice.
You do. You've gotten mature. That's what it's called, maturity. It's called maturing in the business. You've matured as a woman, wow. And it's good.
Modeling doesn't have to be a forever thing, and it is a hard business, but it makes you grow in every aspect. You don't have to keep modeling because you gain confidence and you learn to be independent and do things on your own. So I think, it's not for the faint of heart, but you do come out with some pretty good skills afterwards that you can apply to everyday life.
That's good.
I think it's
good.
So.
Man, girl, I really thank you, because this has just been really good. It's been a blessing to see. And I love you to pieces. And you're just one of my favorite people. And we've always been friends, no matter what. And it's been great. And you're a true friend. I mean, not only that, I would do anything in the world for you, because you're just that close to me, So, but Alex, we really appreciate you coming out here, guys. I want you to please follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and then also you're going to please like and subscribe to the channel right now, because that's what we need you to do. And Alex is telling us to please subscribe, because we want you to see this show. But it's just been absolutely crazy. Guys, you can actually go to our www.modelwaypodcast.com. We've got some great other episodes on there that we'd love for you to see. We want you to like and subscribe. You can also consult with me if you want to continue some careers or trying to start your careers at host@modelwaypodcast.com, and just reach out to me. I do charge for that kind of consultation because of the experience, and I will get you in the right path or the right direction, or lead you to somebody that can actually help you out. So, and I also photograph, so you can ask about that too if you're looking for a great portfolio. What's that? What was that?
And they should believe you. I said they should believe you when you say that.
Yes, definitely. Well, guys, this has been the Model Way podcast, and I am your host, Lenny Wheeler. This has been with Miss Alex Strawn. You want to say bye, Miss Alex, to everybody and say thank you? We thank you for coming.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me. This was cute.
Yes, it was amazing
everyone
show.
Give Model Way podcast a follow.
Yay! And we're gonna get you on as a co-host too, because I think it's gonna be fun. Just come on as a co-host.
I would love to just sit in the corner and make little comments.
No, okay, yeah, but guys, we appreciate you guys. This is the Model Way podcast, and until next time, hasta la vista.